video is from Hillsar English Medium School.
Hello student, let's start it with Standard 6 Science Lesson 4, Sorting Materials into Group. In the first part of this lesson, we have seen different types of materials surrounding us. Plastics, some of them they are metals, non-metals, biodegradable, non-biodegradable. And further we were discussing about its properties. So first property was the appearance, and the second that we'll deal with now is the hardness, and the rest of the property we'll discuss in this part 2. The second one is the hardness. So when you press different materials with your hand, some of them may be hard to press while others can easily compress. कुछ hard होते हैं, कुछ soft होते हैं. So take a metal key and try to scratch with it. The surface of the piece of wood or the aluminum or a piece of stone, a nail, candle, chalk or any other material or object. You can easily scratch some material, while some cannot be scratched so easily. So metal से किसी भी मटेरियल पर हमने स्क्रैच करे तो few of them get scratch, और कुछ जो होते स्क्रैच नहीं, जैसे कि स्टोन स्क्रैच नहीं होगा, बट जो कैंडल है कैंडल में गेट स्क्रैच. The material which can be easily compressed, they are the soft one. Scratch easily, we call them soft, while some other material which are difficult to compress, we call them hard materials. So for example, cotton or sponge are the soft, while the iron is hard material. Cotton जो होता है ये soft material है. In appearance, materials can have a different properties like luster, hardness, be rough or smooth, can be thin. Other property that can be described in the appearance of the material, some of them they are the soluble or insoluble. ये जो है वो chemical है, we can test it in a water, some other solvent where the given material is soluble or not. Fourth activity, collect samples of some solid substances such as sugar, low salt, low, or we can take chalk powder and the sorters, and take 5 glasses or beaker ले सकते हो. Then fill each one of them about 2/3 with the water. हर एक में 2/3 water डालना है, and add small amount of or the spoonful of sugar to the first glass, salt to the second. Similarly, add all small amount of other substance into the different glasses or the container. Then we have to stir the content, means mix करना है उसको, each of them with a spoon. Then wait for a few minutes. Observe what happened to the substance added to the water. Now note down the reading. Mixing different solids. So if we add salt, it disappears completely in the water. Well, the sugar also disappears completely in the water. But sand, it remains as it is, settled down. Chalk powder भी ऐसे रहता है. Sawdust also remain as it is, because we call them as some of them are soluble in water, some are insoluble in water. The substance which completely disappears, are soluble in water, and substance after mixing with that also it remain as it is, we call as insoluble in water. So water plays an important role in the functioning of our body, because it can dissolve a large amount of substances. हमारे बॉडी में इतने सारे फूड आइटम्स खाते हैं, इंग्रेडिएंट्स होते हैं, मोस्ट ऑफ दे गेट डिजॉल्व इन द वाटर. सो डू द लिक्विड आल्सो डिजॉल्व इन द वाटर. दूसरे लिक्विड्स होते हैं जैसे कि है मिल्क है या फिर केरोसिन है, ऑयल है, which are in a liquid form. Are they dissolving in the water? For that, one more activity is there. Collect samples of vinegar, lemon juice, mustard oil, coconut oil, kerosene or any other liquid. Take the glass tumbler, fill it with the half with the water, and add few spoonful of each liquid in all the separate containers. जिसमें हमने पहले से पानी लिया है, and mix करो and wait it for 5 minutes. We can observe the observation whether they get completely mixed or they remain immiscible. And at the observation in the table, vinegar mix well, lemon juice also mix well, mustard oil, coconut oil and the kerosene, they form a layer on the upper surface of the water. वाटर के ऊपर एक लेयर फॉर्म कर देते हैं, बिकॉज दे आर नॉट दिस, और वी कैन से दे आर इनसोल्यूबल इन वाटर. वेल जो सोल्यूबल है दे गेट completely mixed with the water. We cannot see the traces of the presence of this vinegar and lemon juice. We notice that some liquids get completely mixed with the water, some other do not mix with the water and form a separate layer when kept aside for some time. Then Guju suggests what we also check if the liquids that we use in activity 5 mix well with some liquids other than water. दूसरे किसी लिक्विड में वो मिक्स होते हैं क्या? So पहले is curious to know whether gases also dissolves in water. Gases भी water में dissolve होते हैं क्या? Some gases they are soluble in water whereas others are not. Water usually has a small quantity of some gases dissolve in water में पहले से कुछ गैसेस डिजॉल्व फॉर्म में होते हैं. फॉर एग्जांपल ऑक्सीजन गैस विच इज़ डिजॉल्व इन वाटर इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर द सर्वाइवल ऑफ एनिमल्स एंड द प्लांट्स दैट लिव इन वाटर. वी नो दैट एनिमल्स एंड प्लांट्स लिविंग इन वाटर वी कॉल देम एज एक्वाटिक. सो दिस एक्वाटिक क्रिएचर्स दे हाउ डू दे ब्रीथ? दे रेस्पायर by taking oxygen from the water. So water also contains the dissolved oxygen. ऑब्जेक्ट्स में फ्लोट और सिंक इन द वाटर. कुछ ऑब्जेक्ट्स होते हैं वाटर में फ्लोट होते हैं, मतलब ऊपर ही रहते हैं, तैरते रहते हैं, या सिंक होते हैं फिर नीचे चले जाते हैं. सो कौन से ऑब्जेक्ट जो है सिंक होते हैं? विच ऑब्जेक्ट्स आर जस्ट गेटिंग float on over the surface of water. While doing the activity 4, you might have noticed that the insoluble solid they separate out from the water. You may have also noticed that they switch some liquids in activity 5. Some of these materials that did not mix with water, they floated to the surface of a water. Other may have sunk to the bottom of the tumbler. टम्बलर के एकदम नीचे संक हो जाते हैं. सींग का पास्ट टेंस है संक, राइट? सो वी नोटिस्ड मेनी एग्जांपल्स ऑफ द ऑब्जेक्ट दैट फ्लोट इन द वाटर और सिंक आल्सो. सो ड्राइड लीव्स फॉलन ऑन द सरफेस ऑफ द पॉन्ड and the stone they get sunk in the water. The drops of honey that you left fall into the glass of water. What happened to all these objects? Bujo would like you to give him 5 examples each of objects that float and those sink in the water. आपको 5 एग्जाम्पल्स लिखने जो वाटर पे फ्लोट होते हैं and 5 examples sink in the water. So what about testing these same items to see whether they float or sink in the other liquid like oil? जो हमने एग्जाम्पल्स लिए हैं 5 एग्जाम्पल्स विच सिंक इन द वाटर विच फ्लोट ऑन द वाटर, वो सारे एग्जाम्पल जो है ऑयल में भी करके आपको देखने एक्सपेरिमेंट. So you will get a nice exciting result. Here we will stop for the day. This is the part 2 of the lesson. In part 3 we will see the remaining portion of the lesson. Your homework is to write short notes over the different properties of the material. Take care. Goodbye.
Properties of materials. For solving a need, we make objects. These objects are formed from materials. What will happen if you don't choose proper material for making the object? Definitely, you don't want to be in such a situation. In order to make objects for specific need, we must understand the properties of materials. We will discuss these properties in this video. Appearance. It gives idea about the visual look of the material. If a material appears shiny, then we say that it have a property called luster. Usually, metals have luster. If you don't see luster on metal, try to rub the metal with sandpaper. You will see the metallic luster. Other materials did not have luster. If you touch some objects, they appear either smooth or rough. The roughness is due to bumps on surface. Similarly, some objects are hard while others are soft. With the term hardness, we mean that the material does not allow to change its shape. It does not allow anything to go into it or scratch over it. It does not break easily. If a material changes its shape, allows scratching over it, or break easily, then such material is soft material. State. Basically, materials exist in 3 states: solid, liquid, and gas. Those which have fixed shape and volume are solids. Those which have fixed volume but does not have fixed shape are liquids. And those which neither have fixed shape nor fixed volume are gases. Solubility. When we mix some materials such as sugar, salt, lemon juice, vinegar, etc. in water, then they completely disappears in it. That is, they get completely dissolved in water. We say that material is soluble in water. Other materials such as sand, chalk powder, coconut oil, kerosene, etc. does not disappear in water, and thus these are insoluble in water. Ability to float. Some materials such as wood, plastic, rubber, etc. have ability to stay on the surface of water. We say that these materials can float on water. There are other materials such as metals, sand, stone, etc. which when dropped in water goes at the bottom. That means these materials does not float on water. Transparency. Some materials such as glass, water, etc. allows us to look through them completely. Such materials are called transparent materials. Some materials such as wood, mud, sand does not allow us to look through them. These are called opaque materials. There are some materials, for example, trace paper, oily paper, etc., which allows us to look through them only partially. Such materials are called translucent materials. Magnetic properties. Some materials get attracted towards magnet. These are magnetic materials. For example, iron, nickel and cobalt. Others which does not get attracted towards a magnet are non-magnetic material. For example, plastic, wood, paper, glass, etc. Conduction of heat. Some materials allow heat to flow through them. For example, all metals are good conductors of heat. Other materials which does not allow heat to pass through them are bad conductors, that is, insulators of heat. For example, wood, plastic, cotton, glass, etc. Electricity. Some materials allow electricity to pass through them. These are called conductors. For example, all metals, salt solution, etc. Other materials which does not allow electricity to pass through them are insulators. For example, wood, plastic, glass, cotton, oil, distilled water, etc. We can use any property to classify the material. For example, here are some materials and we need to classify them according to electrical conduction. Can we do that? Yes, the answer is like this. I hope you have understood this topic very well. Thanks for watching this video.